Craig, I'm going to get going. I'd like to call a meeting to order. With the April 13th, 2011 meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. Moving on to business, I'm going to take or request a motion to take an item out of order. We have 4 projects on for tonight, but only one, the last one, has people to speak for it. So I'm going to request that we take that out of order. Do I have a motion to take that one first?
Make a motion to take that DEP order 206-0545.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right. This is request for certificate of compliance, Butterfield Development Corp. Project location is 933 and 953 Varnum Avenue, concerning DEP file number 206-0545. Mr. Geary, the floor is yours.
Hi, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. My name's John Geary, Treasurer of Butterfield Development Corp., 25 Knobway, Lowell, Mass. I'm here tonight requesting the issuance of the certificate of compliance for the order of conditions that was issued to Butterfield Development back in August of 2003. I believe that Craig has provided you with the procedural history that's associated with this request. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have.
I have one right off the bat, and it's a procedural question. Have you submitted, or do we have, as part of the submittal, I didn't see it, a certification from your engineer that the project was built in substantial compliance with the order?
That was submitted back in 2007, I believe.
All right, do we have that as part of the, is that part of the file?
I can double check that tonight, but I've been working with Associate Planner Aaron Clausen on this, and his review and my review indicated that they were in good position without that letter at this time, but I can check as we're talking tonight.
I have a copy of that, Craig, if that's helpful.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
If the applicant wishes to use that letter, that I am aware of that letter, and we do have that in the file. So,
Okay, and this is just the follow-up with respect to the punch item lists, items 1 through 6 that were not completed, correct?
That's correct. So of that letter, I think there were two main items there that needed to be complied with. And that was, one, the installation of the stone bounds delineating the wetland area, which have been completed and are shown on the revised as-built plan. And 2, providing the commission with a copy of the deed to Lot 30, which is 77 Kelly Circle, showing that the restriction is within that deed.
Okay, do we have that?
yes, that's also in the file.
All right, because I didn't see that either, so.
Yeah, I apologize. I tried not to inundate the commission with paperwork, but to indicate that those had been received. If it wasn't clear in my memo that I sent, then I apologize. But those items, with the exception of the stone bounds as requested, were provided and are in the file.
Okay. I'm going to open it up for comment now. Commissioner Lynch?
I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Mellon?
I have a couple of questions. I was out there this afternoon. I was able to locate 2 of the stone mounds, granite mounds. One by the circle and another one opposite house number 23, Washington. I wasn't able to locate the ones the intersection of that one, but it's nice. So
Yeah, I believe the stone bounds that you're referring to down on the intersection of Varnum Ave and Kelly Circle are stone bounds depicting where the roadway begins. That's more of a planning board matter. The stone bounds that I'm referring to are the stone bounds that were back at the end of the road, at the end of the cul-de-sac, basically along the fence where the wetland area is. And that is, the location was part of the approval process, and that, so we put the stone bounds where they were supposed to be pursuant to the approved plan. Which is that, you're right, it's a little bit, it's not right in the wetlands, but it's not supposed to be. I believe it's supposed to be a little bit outside of the wetlands. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I realize it's been ongoing for 8 years, and all that we see today is not what it was at the beginning. And one other question I have, though, and generally on a property line survey stamped by a land surveyor, they put distances and bearings on the property lines, but I don't see any of that. But that probably is under the purview of the planning board.
Right, this is a as-built for purposes of the issuance of the certificate of compliance. We did issue we did submit an as-built for the subdivision as well to the planning board that was accepted.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Thank you.
Commissioner Moore?
No questions.
Commissioner Chalupa?
I don't have any questions.
Commissioner Lovely?
No questions.
All right, at this time, are we satisfied, Craig, that the applicant submitted the appropriate deed for Lot 30 with the restrictions? I haven't seen it, and that's...
I have a copy of that as well, if you'd like it. Just make sure you have the right one, yeah. Sorry about that, Craig.
Just a moment, please. And the restriction that we're referring to is the one from 2003,
Yes,
I'm assuming?
yes.
Okay. Craig, can you visited the site this morning?
Yes, I met Mr. Geary out on the site this morning.
Can you, I have to admit, I wasn't able to attend the site visit this morning, so. Are we satisfied that the stone bounds are in the appropriate location?
I believe so, yes. Again, I defer slightly to Mr. Mellon's interpretation of best surveying practices, but in my view, they do meet the intent of the commission's condition originally and aren't as detailed on the plan.
All right. Without any further questions from the commission, it sounds like this is ripe for issuance of a certificate of compliance. At least that's what it's sounding like to me. Do I have a motion for that? And what I would just like to reiterate that the conservation restriction shall not be released. It's part of the ongoing order. It shall remain as part of the deed with respect to Lot 30. The COC is only releasing so much of the order of conditions that aren't to remain permanent.
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Do I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP 2060545?
I make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All right, is there any discussion? All in favor? Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon?
Aye.
Commissioner Moore? Chair votes yes. Commissioner Chalupka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lovely?
Aye.
And Commissioner Lynch, that was a yes?
Yes.
All right, thank you. The ayes have it, and COC will issue. All right,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on back to the top of the list, moving on to businesses, this is a request for determination of applicability, Pan Am Railways, Inc. Project location or various locations throughout the city along the railway right-of-ways, and its verification of wetland boundaries along Pan Am's right-of-ways. Craig, can you fill us in here as to what this is? Is this their spraying application?
Yes, this is a statutory application through the State Vegetation Management Plan permitting structure. It's permitted both locally for the wetland boundary agreement to determine if, we agree with, in general, how they're proposing to protect the jurisdictional areas. And then on the state level, they actually work on which chemicals are to be used, which time of year, the best management practice for different types of plants. So again, this receives oversight on two different levels, and for our purposes, we're really trying to see if we think that their plan will adequately protect the resource areas. And if so, the feedback that I've been given from the DEP is to, if you so choose to go along with their areas that they've indicated for protection, then to issue a positive 2A determination, which is an agreement on the wetland boundaries. And then that is incorporated in their application to the state for the scrutiny of the actual techniques and management plan. I think I've actually discussed this as well with the DEP, that were this to be a public utility, the management of the right-of-way is actually specifically identified as an exempt activity. But as a private entity, they do have to come through with an RDA.
All right. Yeah, we get these on an annual basis from various parties with respect to typically mosquito spraying and whatnot. Okay, the way we usually handle these, and typically what we get is we get a letter of notice. This is sort of new, I guess, requesting for a determination of applicability. Craig had alluded to a 2A determination, and what basically that is that the act does apply, but they're exempt from the regulations of the statute because of the type of activity that's being proposed. Is that correct?
I'm not sure the exact language as to what that means for exemption. Specifically what it means for our review is that they're exempt from further filing for notice of intent. So typically any RDA with a positive determination would go through for a full notice. And that's why I was originally a little surprised that the DEP was recommending a positive determination. But again, the 2A is a positive determination that we agree that it applies to these boundaries. And that's how the agreement would seem to work.
All right. Is there any discussion? I mean, we can. I'm not going to take them together, but the next project is essentially the same thing, and I'll call it separately. But is there any further discussion on these? I mean, this is a fairly routine thing for this commission.
I mean, I don't know if it's pertinent or not, but the spray and no spray zones on areas where the track appears to be shared are not consistent between the two projects.
Meaning they disagree as to
do.
where they can spray?
Yeah. And I don't know how the ownership works, if they're looking at specific tracks within an area, but for example, where the tracks go across Westford, they're treated differently on the two. Well, not across, beneath.
Where are you seeing the map for the Tech Associates project?
It's in the packet, in the,
This,
yeah, it's stapled in there. I mean, would it be that specific, Craig? Do you think that they're looking at specific tracks within the right-of-way?
Again, I have to apologize that I didn't make full color copies as the city is under certain budget constraints, but
Okay.
I can provide these to the commission, and I actually think under review that they are substantially similar, if not identical. It's really a matter that the TEC delineation in a certain area between Gorham Street and Tanner Street, and then again, between the connector and Westford Street, there is no shading. So I don't know if that means they don't believe they need any management at all, or what that indicates, but if you give me a moment, I'll give you the two color copies so that you can compare.
Yeah, that is curious. Now, I was looking here where there's. Right. Yeah, I'm looking up in here, right by the Lord Overpass, where Chelmsford and Westford come together. That seems to be the only, well, other than this area where it's undefined what's going on there, but,
Well, they're spraying, but
right,
except for here, and they're not doing anything.
right. Although they do have symbology for no spray.
Yeah, the Commissioner Moore makes a good point there. The plans are disparate, but they agree, at least as far as we're concerned, with respect to the resource areas involved. Their spray zones and no spray zones cover areas that are not jurisdictional to us. That's a pair where there appears to be some disagreement between the two zones as far as that goes, but those aren't any that concern our commission. They're areas that aren't close to resource areas. So, all right. With respect to the RDA for Pan Am Railways, is there any further discussion, Commissioner Chulka?
do you know what they're spraying and how they get it there?
Again, there is some indication of what they use, but we're not supposed to take that into consideration in making this determination. Again, we have to trust the state entity that oversees vegetation management to do so.
We could be concerned with how they're getting it there though, right? Like, I don't know how they spray, so, you know, like,
It's an interesting question, talking about the transport. It would seem to be within the jurisdiction of the commission were it to pass through jurisdictional areas. But again, this type of do you have something, Commissioner Lynch?
They're not spraying, though, in the jurisdictional
Well, no,
areas, right?
Yeah, that's the point.
So-
But what Commissioner Chulka is referring to is actually, I believe getting the materials, the herbicides they're going to be using to and from the locations. I believe, is that what you're referring to?
yeah, I mean, if the restricted spray zone starts at 10 feet away from the resource area, then that's not very far. I mean, I don't know what restricted levels of spraying would be, but I'm just kind of curious.
Again, I'm not sure, this type of application is actually pretty well circumscribed by the Wetland Protection Act, in that we review it to determine if we agree with the areas of protection, and then the specific types of protection in the use of the herbicides is managed by the state entity. Fortunately or unfortunately.
Mm. Okay.
Craig, is there an actual schedule for when they're going to be doing the spraying? Or is it just, this is the plan, and whenever it's needed, this is what they're going to do?
Yeah, there is actually, there is a schedule associated with their application to the state, and we received notification of that. And we received notification 45 days ahead of their planned spraying, and then again, I believe 48 hours, or sometime between 2 weeks and 2 days. I believe it's 48 hours, but might be a little longer. So with the 45-day notice, we'll have time to, I would assume that they would send it to the city and not to you individually, so I will have time to bring that forward to the commission to let you all know about what the plan is as pertains to these two submissions.
Are they re-tagging these wetland areas now that they're into a new cycle, or?
In the, it's either in the RDA itself or in the guidelines as used, they actually tag the rail ties. And so those are used for the purposes of the vegetation management, either internal or people or outside group. I'm not sure how they do it, but that's how they enforce the delineation that we provide.
Commissioner Lovely?
I have no comments.
All right, are there any further comments? All right, I mean, we typically deal with these in the past where we've just received notification for comments. Apparently, DEP is now requiring these RDA filings, so as I said, we get these on an annual basis. I mean, we've seen, over the years, scores of these things come in, and we should be getting a few more of these, I would imagine, in the next couple of weeks. So, Ann, are you satisfied, or would you like further information regarding what they're using for herbicides, or?
I mean, I would like it, but I mean, can you just reiterate quickly what the positive 2 determination is? Because, I mean, it might not matter what they are, if we're just agreeing with their boundaries or not.
Yeah, the positive 2A determination is simply a way for the commission to say, yes, you have identified the jurisdictional areas along your tracks. If, say, they managed to miss the Concord River that they were passing over on their way into Lowell and through Lowell, then that would be an area of disagreement. And we could say, you need to include this in your no spray and limited spray buffer review and marking of the railroad beds. But that doesn't get into, again, the actual practices, the actual vegetation management.
Yeah, and again, to reiterate, we're not, I mean, they're under the guise of a public utility, they have certain exemptions that apply, but we're not authorizing the use of a particular agent. What we're doing is saying we agree with the delineations. They're indicating to us they're not spraying in jurisdictional areas.
What I would say, though, is that if you have feelings about this, and it sounds like you're concerned with the transport, say, across the areas, what I can do is, or if you so choose to do so, you can, in the motion, request a follow-up with the state, and I can reach out and get more information so we are better equipped to understand what these are, how to view these in the future, and or request, say, a detailed explanation as to how the transport is being conducted or will be conducted in Lowell.
All right, do I have a motion to issue a positive 2A determination on the request for determination of applicability for the Pan Am Railways, RDA?
I'll move to issue a positive 2 determination with the condition that we request more information regarding the transportation of the chemicals to the site.
As they cross jurisdictional areas, or specifically major waterways?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon? Commissioner Moore?
Aye.
Chairs yes. Commissioner Chalupka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lovely?
Aye.
All right, the ayes carry it. Moving on, request for determination of applicability, TEC Associates. Project location is likewise diverse locations in the city. Verification of wetlands boundaries along the Massachusetts Bay Commuter Railway, railroad right-of-ways. Very similar to what we have just considered. The filing was essentially the same. Do we have any further discussion, or can we just go straight to motion on this one and do the same thing?
I see that they've requested a -5.
A -5?
Yeah, on the second
Did I
page of
miss
the
that?
letter.
What's a -5?
That is how they've been handled typically in the past, and that was...
Is that a negative determination that an order of conditions, in that the impacts are minimal, and that it's proceeding under a public exemption?
-5 is the category for use with an exemption, but again, the language surrounding this is very clear, but also very short in the Wetlands Protection Act. It simply says that for vegetation management along rights-of-way, that a request for determination will be submitted for boundary delineation, and that essentially all other aspects are then handled through the state permitting process. So it doesn't give us specific guidance as to how to do it. Again, and this was part of my confusion in determining the most appropriate way to move forward. Again, the -5 was how they've previously been handled, but the guidance I've been given is that the positive 2A is now the direction to move. I haven't received any feedback from the applicant one way or another. Although these are substantially similar applications, it may be worth considering a continuance to touch base and make sure that a positive 2A suits the needs of the applicant.
Is it due to the fact that, of the change in applicant status from quasi-private to public?
The exemption for public utility right-of-way management, as I understand it, includes electric, telegraph, gas, but does not include transportation. That said, I'm not necessarily the authority on this. So as the MBCR, as a fully public or at least a quasi-public entity, they may fall under that exemption. That's an interesting question.
Do you have a copy of the NRDA,
Of the
of the order in the file?
Wetlands Protection Act?
Yeah.
Not with me at the moment, no.
All right, okay. you know, I see no reason not to do the same thing on this one. I know that they're requesting a 5, but, a -5. But, I mean, we can put this off. We don't know when they're proposed starting. I mean, I don't think that's gonna matter one way or another, but,
Well, it is an interesting issue as to the standing of this organization compared with Pan Am. I had considered them to be similar enough as to be under the same statute and not be under the same language that I referred to earlier, but not fall under the exemption for public right-of-way maintenance. But again, if that is important to their management plan, it may in fact be worth continuing for one meeting to further clarify that.
all right, what's the pleasure of the board? I mean, let's just briefly discuss, I mean, we can either continue this to the next meeting or proceed with an RDA with a 2A. I'm not inclined to. I'm not entirely sure the 5 even applies to this one. I know that that's what they're asking for, but.
Again, it's an interesting question, and it would seem to hinge on their interpretation of the public utility right-of-way exemption.
If we issued them the positive 2A, what does that mean for their work plan then? Does it mean they can't do the work, or, I guess I don't know what,
Well, again,
what it means.
I'm also unsure. I have not fully understanding how this is regulated through the state entity, but solely that our discussion is related to the delineation of the wetland areas. I'm not sure how that may or may not impact their proposed vegetation management plan.
All right, okay, then let's get some answers, and let's continue this then to the next meeting. Do I have a motion to continue?
Make a motion to continue.
All right, do I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. All right, moving on, and the last item on the agenda is request for certificate of compliance, Javier Castro, trustee of Castro Realty Trust, 1499 Middlesex Street. Project location is the same. I think this is DEP file number 20637 or 39. It's an old one. Oh, I had it out.
39.
39, thank you. This is a situation where this commission issued a COC a number of years ago. This was for the old Taylor rental. I think that's Middlesex rental now. The old Taylor rental project, when that was built out, a COC issued, and for some reason or another, a copy of it is in the file, was in the filing, but for some reason or another, someone's claiming that it's not properly filed or whatnot. I had discussed this with Craig. Apparently, we don't have an original copy in our file, but there's a photocopy of it. All right. I mean, typically in a situation like this, I think that Craig could just make a certificate of true copy that the COC that's in our file is, and make a copy of it as a true and accurate copy of the original, but we don't have the original for some reason. But from my discussions with him, at least I'm satisfied that this commission did issue a certificate of compliance on this. I don't think we really need to belabor the point. I think the long and the short of it is just procedurally, we just issue another certificate of compliance so it can be recorded at the registry of deeds, just so they can clean up their back title. I mean, I don't really think we need to do much more than that at this point in time. That's what they're asking for, as I understand. Correct?
Yes, that's what they're asking for, and that's what my review of the file indicated, that they came forward with a notice of intent, received an order of conditions. At that time, they were only valid for 1 year, asked for an extension. Extension was granted. They came back 1 year later, approximately, and requested a certificate of compliance, which was then issued, and in your file, which was maybe it's hard to notice because the registry used, I believe, a stamp at the time, so it's less obvious in the barcode you now receive for items that are recorded, but we actually have a book and page number as recording information on one of the COCs in the file. And again, the title, the attorney working on the title search indicated to me that it is in fact recorded, but somehow it's not, something is not correct in that the way it's, so the original order of conditions is not closed out. And so that's what they're requesting, to reissue this to be re-recorded to properly close out the original order of conditions.
It's not because there were permanent conditions.
No, my review, it didn't indicate any permanent conditions. And
All
again,
right. I mean, I suppose at this point in time, as opposed to issuing a whole new certificate of compliance, it perhaps would be prudent then to just ratify the prior commission's actions and issue a certificate of compliance that in essence ratifies the prior certificate of compliance that was issued back in 1980, whenever it was. That's it. I don't want to reinvent the wheel. I don't want to open up the hearing again to determine whether or not the project was built out appropriately, but we're sitting, as a public body, issuing a closure to a project and without reviewing the project in and of itself, other than the fact that we as a body did issue a certificate of compliance at some time in the past, that through some scrivener's error or some, error that the record title is being affected by this, either because of some misprint or some improper recording, at this point, I don't know, but I suppose what I would like to do is entertain a motion to ratify the prior certificate of compliance that this commission issued, and that any new certificate of compliance that we issue specifically ratifies the prior copy, or perhaps even is to the point where we take a copy of it and ratify that anew, and that's the of the prior action that had taken place in front of this commission, and not issue an en banc certificate of compliance without actually reviewing the work that's done. I don't think that needs to be done. I don't even think that's what they're requesting. So, I suppose that the best and the most prudent order and way to proceed would just be to ratify the prior certificate of compliance on a new certificate of compliance, just incorporating everything that the prior certificate of compliance had in the file, and to go no further than that. So, is there any discussion? Commissioner Lynch, Commissioner Mellon, Commissioner Moore, Commissioner Chalupka, Commissioner Lovely. All right, do I have a motion to issue a certificate of compliance ratifying the prior, and you'll have the date for that. That was in June of 1980, to ratify the June of 1980 certificate of compliance that this commission issued, and wholly incorporating but not expanding this certificate of compliance. Do I have a motion for that purpose?
I move to ratify the certificate of compliance issued in June 1980.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? Commissioner Lynch?
Aye.
Commissioner Mellon? Commissioner Moore? Chair is yes. Commissioner Chalupka?
Aye.
Commissioner Lovely?
Aye.
All in favor, it's none opposed. And under other business, it's an update on National Grid vegetation management. What is that, Craig?
this was just to let you know that I did in fact receive I'll try and make it quick. It looks like Commissioner Lovely has to take off here. That we received word from them that they are proceeding with some of their own vegetation management, and as a regulated utility, both for gas and electric, they are exempt.
Okay, and that's what we typically receive. Are they intending to file an RDA now, or is it,
Nope,
they're
they're
going to proceed under
fully
the...
exempt and very, very clearly stated as such.
Okay, all right. And that's just for That's just for our informational purposes. Is there anything else? I have nothing else on the agenda, so.
Nope, there are a few more applications coming in. Next meeting, we'll be revisiting 61 Bishop Street and 124 Dingwall Street, I believe. And that's it.
All right, thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn? Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Good night.